Welcome into the Spear podcast, where I'm here with my co-host Alex. I'm Thomas, of course, and we are going to go over real quick just what happened in the Spear, what happened in SJSU athletics this week.
Spartans crush Aggies in one-game tilt. San Jose State baseball visited UC Davis on Tuesday in a one-game tilt. The Spartans defeated the Aggies handily 10-3. SJSU came into Tuesday's game looking to continue its momentum after its series win against Nevada over the weekend. Sophomore Mickey Thompson was tasked with taking down a struggling Aggies ball club. Things got off to a rocky start for Thompson as he gave up an early run in the first inning. His command was an issue to begin the game, something that would plague him for the rest of the way. The Aggies fell apart by the seventh inning. The Spartans had a 6-run seventh inning, breaking the game open. SJSU capitalized off UC Davis's shaky pitching and rough defense. Mercado continued his big day, scoring 2 on a single up the middle. UC Davis made things interesting, loading the bases in the ninth, but ultimately couldn't score. Story by Jose Garcia.
Spartans overpowered by the Golden Bears. San Jose State's newest record for softball, 20-24, the latest loss against UC Berkeley. The Spartans went up against and lost to the Golden Bears on Wednesday, April 27th. The team's head coach, Tammy Lohman, returned to her old turf because she had spent 15 seasons as associate head coach, and despite the history with the game's opponent, it was not enough to lead the Spartans to a win. San Jose State has work to do before heading to their next Mountain West 3-game series against San Diego State. The first game was on Friday, April 29th. Story by Zulma Kanahui.
Tennis eliminated from Mountain West tournament in second round. The San Jose State women's tennis lost in the second round of the Mountain West Championship against Colorado State after upsetting Boise State in the first round. The Spartans beat number 7 seed Boise State 4-2 in the first round of the tournament on Wednesday. Spartans lost in doubles to start the day, but redeemed themselves in the singles matches. In its second game of the tournament, SJSU lost to number 2 Colorado State 4-0. The Spartans finished their season 7-15 and 2-8 in conference play. They struggled in doubles play, but on numerous occasions recovered in singles. Story by Aiden Bostic.
Spartans outlast Lobos in a grueling slugfest. San Jose State baseball defeated the University of New Mexico in a matchup that mirrored a boxing match between two heavyweight titans. Both teams pushed each other until the very last out. However, SJSU sparked a 5-run rally in the ninth inning to come back and secure the win. This win extends the Spartans' current win streak to 3 games as they approach the last couple of series in the regular season. The Spartans will look to keep the streak alive as they face against the Lobos in Game 2 of their 3-game series on April 30th. Story by Ricardo Garcia.
Men's track shows out at Fresno State Invitational. San Jose State men's track attended Fresno State Invitational where the Spartans competed in 2 days of events. The men's hammer throw was held Friday, where SJSU's Brian Quintero came in 4th place with 60.66 meters. Spartan Bryson Smith came in 16th with 53.89 meters. First place was held by Washington's Jaden White with 68.88 meters. SJSU competed in a handful of events, and the vast number of athletes left little room for error. The Fresno State Invitational marked the end of the regular season for the Spartans, and the Mountain West Outdoor Championship will begin on May 11th. Story by Aiden Bostic.
Continuing that San Jose State baseball series against the University of New Mexico, the Spartans in their second game managed a narrow win 7-6. The game started with an early lead by the Spartans, 1-0. Going into the second inning, the Lobos caught up and tied the game. Ultimately, SJSU took a second win in their 3-game weekend series. The Spartans will wrap up the series on Sunday, May 1st. That game will be coming right after this. Story by Zulma Kanahui. In the second game of their weekend series against the University of New Mexico, the Spartans narrowly defeat the Lobos in a win 7-6. Ultimately, SJSU took a second win in their 3-game series. They looked to wrap up the series against the Lobos on Sunday, May 1st. Aztecs proved to be tough competition against Spartan softball. The San Jose State women's softball team closed out its 3-game series against the San Diego State Aztecs Sunday afternoon. SJSU was swept. The tone of the game was set relatively quickly. The Aztecs started redshirt freshman catcher Mac Barbara, who hit a home run on her second swing. This would be Barbara's 14th home run of the season. Unfortunately, the pressure was on junior first baseman Charisma Bergeson to continue the adrenaline everyone was feeling, but the pressure was a lot to handle. The game would end 8-3. The Aztecs win their final game during the 3-game series this weekend. The Spartans will be taking a short trip to play Santa Clara University, and that is happening Wednesday. Story by Autumn Bloom.
And that is our weekly recap of SJSU sports. And now we're going to take it to our interview with Max Bechtoldt, who is the executive editor for The Sphere. And we're going to talk about women's golf. Cool. So welcome to The Sphere podcast. We are here with Max Bechtoldt, and we're here to talk about women's golf. So how you doing, Max?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great myself. And this is a really, really exciting, golf special that we're doing because women's golf is going to be going into the NCAA regionals on May 9th. And we're going to kind of talk about, their journey leading up to that and kind of what's to come and what to expect. So, 2 weeks ago, women's golf played in the Mountain West Championships, and they ended up winning it in a pretty dominant fashion. They won, by 30 strokes, and they took the top 3 spots. So Max, could you go through some of the key performances from the Spartans during that championship run?
Yeah, so I was actually talking to Ernie Gonzalez, managing editor of The Sphere, about this, like on Monday of that week. And I was like, look, women's golf is going to just dominate these, Mountain West Championships. Like they're going to win by, 30 some strokes. And that's exactly what happened. And most of it was just absolutely propelled by Natasha Oon, who I cannot get enough of. I cannot talk enough about her. She is the best athlete to step foot on San Jose State's campus in years. Like she is incredible. She's one of the best players in the nation. She's ranked number 4 right now, I believe, for college golfers, ranked number 10 for amateur golfers overall in the nation. And so she's just incredible. She shot 10 under, which was a record for the Mountain West tournament. I mean, there was a lot of people that played really, really well in that tournament. Obviously, because they had the top 3 finishers. Lucia Lopez Ortega was a really, really big kind of stunner because she's usually kind of listed as the 4th or 5th golfer on the team. She had the 2nd best score on the team, was one of the best players in the tournament. And so that's what really propelled, SJSU from a dominant victory to just an all-timer of a performance in that Mountain West Championship. Playing on a really tough course, a difficult course, Mission Hills, which is a major championship course in the women's golf circuit. And they went out there and just dominated the field. Like everybody played well. There wasn't a bad performer. They knew the course well. It's very clear that they prepared well. Just an incredible, incredible performance.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, the domination may not come as a surprise because they're ranked number 5 nationally and, they dominated almost every single event they played in. But coming into the season, what was kind of the expectations coming into the season? Was this much dominance expected?
I mean, I think when you look at San Jose State women's golf, there's some expectations just naturally off the history of the program. I mean, it is the historically strongest program from San Jose State when it comes to sports. We talk about Julie Inkster a lot. She's one of the greatest players in women's golf history. She played at San Jose State in her college career. San Jose State, I believe, has won 2 or 3 national titles in women's golf historically. So it's a program that you expect a lot of, but I don't think people were truly expecting it to compete for national titles like it is right now. Obviously, there's a lot of competition just right down the road with Stanford, who's the number 1 team in the country. I don't think many people are expecting 2 teams from the Bay Area to dominate like they are right now. So while I think San Jose State was probably projected to make the tournament, was projected to make the regionals, probably make the nationals, I don't think they were this level of dominant expected out of them, where they were a top 5 team. And most of that comes from Natasha Oon, who was known as the top player on San Jose State, but she wasn't known as one of the best players in the nation until just very recently. And so her kind of emergence has really propelled the program.
Yeah, for sure. And, championships are over. They had a nice little week, and the job isn't finished. They still have to go through the regionals. But how important is this success for women's golf, just for San Jose State in general?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, as I was just saying, it's a program that is just massive, in the history of women's golf for college. But San Jose State having a name is big because the Bay Area is very, very concentrated on women's golf. Like even some of the players that didn't go to San Jose State, so many of the best players in women's golf are from the Bay Area. I mean, Yelimi No, who's one of the best current players on the LPGA Tour, is from San Francisco. Danielle Kang, who is one of the biggest stars on the LPGA Tour, is from San Francisco. So having this kind of presence in the Bay Area is so important for the future of the sports, and probably very important for San Jose State because it's very clearly concentrated here. Last year, there was an LPGA major right here, and next year there's an LPGA major at Pebble Beach, which is just like 30 miles away. So it's so huge for the future of the sport having both San Jose State and Stanford be so dominant in women's golf. I think it's just a massive deal.
Right. And you talk about dominance. So I just pulled up the numbers really quickly and I just want to read them off to you. You said that they were going to win, that you thought that they were going to win by 30 strokes, right, Max? Well, they literally won by 30 strokes. The first place was 860. Their second place finish for the team was New Mexico at 890. So they literally won by 30 strokes. Then you go to the top 3 finishers, and I'm sure you can guess the top 3 finishers are all from San Jose State, right? So you have, obviously 206. A score of 206 from Natasha Andrea Oon. Now that's going to lead the entire tournament and be great. But 7 strokes behind Lopez Ortega at a 213. And then Kaja Arwefial, that's going to be the meme. Whenever we talk about women's golf, no one can pronounce her name. So I'm sorry, Kaja. But she got a 216 as well to finish in the top 3 place in the tournament. So, we talk about, we just, 2 days ago had the news where Dana Dorman was named as a finalist or on the watch list for National Coach of the Year for women's golf. And, we talk about the excellence of Natasha Andrea Oon and sort of, sure, like I think that she would probably be dominant and excellent at golf, regardless of who her coach was. But you go down the line of these other golfers, Lopez Ortega and Arwefial, and there's a few more that have all contributed to this team dominance. You don't win by 30 strokes with just one great golfer. You win by 30 strokes when you have an entire great team. So just how much goes into the coaching part of this I don't know that much about golf. I'm imagining that the average listener doesn't know a ton about golf. So how much does the coaching matter when you're talking about entering a team of golfers versus, more of a pro style where you're focusing on just one golfer?
So coaching in golf is really, really interesting because it's mostly in the mental aspect, because everybody has their individual technician, coaches. Natasha is not coached by San Jose State staff on a regular basis. She has her own individual coaches that she works with. And so that's what's kind of really interesting about it, is when you bring her into this kind of team environment, and everybody into this team environment. If you're good enough to play golf at San Jose State, you have your own individual coach. And so it's really this interesting kind of thing to look at. It's mostly in the mental aspect that, the team coaches are working with the players. And so I think it's not necessarily how great a coach is, but how not bad a coach is, if that makes sense. I played high school golf. Frankly, I had a coach who I think had some weaknesses. And I think those weaknesses were usually when that coach was with me, working with me, I didn't think I was improving at all. I didn't think that my mental state was improving at all. And I think that I was actually getting worse from the mental aspect. And golf is such a huge mental sport. It's really a sport that, as long as you're taking your time thinking about what you're doing, you can usually succeed if you have the talent. And I think coaches can really kind of get in the way of that if they try to make you think a little bit too much. And so what I think we're seeing with San Jose State is a coach that knows that her team has incredible talent, great mental aspects, and she kind of just lets them play, which I think is the most important thing you can have in golf. Especially with college where you don't have a caddy, which is making kind of overthink a little bit more. I think these players are really able to just play their own game. I think the coach really allows that. I think the worst thing a golf coach can do is get in their players' heads too much. And it's clear that San Jose State has the situation where the coach kind of hits the back brakes a little bit, kind of backs off, and lets the players play.
Just a don't think, just do approach.
Exactly. And that's the strongest way to go with golf. You hear the term caveman golf a lot when you talk about golf, which is you see the ball, you hit the ball. And I think, if you've got a talented team, that's just the best strategy to go with. And it seems like what San Jose State is going with.
Can I ask one more follow-up for that? Is just now that we, you talk about that coaching philosophy, we've seen it, it's working clearly on the field. How's that going to go towards San Jose State attracting more top golf talent in the future?
I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, being successful in golf is great, but really the key with this all is how good is Natasha in the pros? And, you don't want to put too much pressure on somebody, but it's the same thing with any sport. Once you throw a couple star athletes out there into the pro level, that's going to help things out a lot. So if Natasha is great on the LPGA Tour level, which I think she's going to be really, really good. I think she's going to be a consistently great player on the LPGA Tour. If that happens, the talent's going to come into San Jose State. Like it's going to follow. And the big thing about golf is you got to remember, women's college golf is not shown on TV at all until you get to the national championships. And so San Jose State probably making the national championships this year, at least making the national finals, is going to be a huge, feather in their cap when it comes to recruiting.
Awesome. Alex?
Yeah, and so now looking towards, the regionals, which is going to happen on May 9th, like I said earlier, what should we expect from the Spartans? Who are they facing, and kind of do they have a chance? You had said that they'll probably make, they'll probably go all the way and they'll move on to the championships for the NCAA. But, how do you think that they're going to be like one of the best teams out on the course, or what should we expect?
Yeah, so San Jose State got a number 1 seed, which is huge. That's something that just does not happen for schools the size of San Jose State. It's like a major conference school making the college football playoff or getting a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament for basketball. This just does not happen. But San Jose State really has the skill to back it up. The biggest concern is they've got Arkansas in their regional. Arkansas is a massive power in women's college golf. 2 of the biggest stars currently on the LPGA Tour, Stacey Lewis and Maria Fassi, both went to Arkansas. They always have a lot of talent. They're always in the national finals. But the important thing is that 4 teams make it out of each regional. So San Jose State has a little bit of wiggle room there. They've got to contend with Michigan, who's playing basically a home event. I've always said that I think that San Jose State probably would have been better off being like a 2 seed in the Stanford regional, where they could kind of have a little bit of a home course advantage. They'd have to contend with Stanford, who's the best team in the nation, but they'd be able to go practice on the course, work on the course, probably play on a course they're familiar with. Having to go all the way to Michigan, they have to play in a different time zone. They have to play on a course that's, they are not familiar with. That's very different style. So that's kind of the only concern. The only thing that can bite San Jose State right now in the butt a little bit is not being familiar with the course. But other than Michigan and Ohio State, who's also in the regional, nobody is going to be familiar with this type of golf. So it's really not a concern. When I look at these teams, San Jose State is just so much better than everybody else in their regional. So I don't think they'll have a problem advancing to nationals.
Cool. Thomas, do you have anything else to ask?
I do. I have one more question. So, Max, if we get to regionals and we get to the national championships and we do get on TV, I just have to ask you, what would be your betting odds that the announcers or narrators or commentators for that TV special get Kaja Arwifjal's name right? What are the betting odds here?
I'm going to go 100% positive they will, because women's golf is known for having just some very unique names, some very out there names. The announcers do their research, they do their homework. I think they'll get it right. If it gets to nationals, look, you got 100 some golfers that you have to contend with, probably 20 names that are very, very interesting and unique and different. I think they'll make sure that they have all of those right. I'm very confident in that. So yes, I do think they'll get those right. I'm going to be there. If they make nationals, I'm going to be going there in Phoenix. And so I'm hoping that if I interview her, that I can somehow figure out a way to get it right as well, because right now looking at, I don't know, but I hope that I can accomplish it.
Awesome. Well, there you go. I mean, that's the scoop right there. If you're on FanDuel, try and find the betting odds right there to get her name going.
Yeah. Max, is there anything else you want to add about women's golf?
No, I mean, just to be plugged in with them, because it's a very, very interesting team that has a lot of great stuff going on. A few, definite future pros. This is just a really, really strong team on the San Jose State campus that I think is really worth following. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the national championship, because that's just a huge swing to take. But, Stanford's the number one team in the country, and San Jose State has beaten them twice this year. And so it's just something to keep in mind that, San Jose State can outplay anybody in the country.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Max, for coming on. Where can we follow you on Twitter?
At CavsMax13 on Twitter. And of course, as you guys will definitely go over, at the Spear SJSU on Twitter. Check us out there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Max.
Cool. Thank you, guys.